Casey here with Vendetta Waterfowl. This is the first episode in a brand new series we're bringing to you guys on how to become a better speck caller. How to become a speck caller in general. We'll also get into snow goose calling later down the road and into duck calling too. But we're going to start with speckle belly calling. That seems to be everybody's Achilles tendon, and we want to get you better at running a speck call. Whether you're brand new to speck calling, you're a veteran, I think everybody can pick up something from this. So put it on in your car, listen to it while you're driving, watch it at home. You know, it doesn't matter. The best time to practice, everybody feels, is in their car, so that's why I say that. Anyway, let's get into it. We're going to cover the parts of the call first. So this is the barrel, the front end. It has the lip, and that's where you're going to introduce your air into the call. Then you have the insert, which is where your hands will go onto the call. So with that being said, we have a call hand and we have a free hand. The call hand is the hand that you're going to have on the call. This hand, generally, as a beginner, never moves. You never need to move this hand. It's basically an extension of the call. This hand is where you're going to manipulate the air. Okay, but we're not even going to get into manipulating air. We're going to get to making a note first. But before we do that, we got to learn how to hold the call, which in speck calling, your hand position is one of the most important, if not the most important things when it comes to operating the call and having control over the call. So what you're going to do first off is you're going to put your finger in the end of this call, and you're going to line it up, as you can see, in the pit of your index, knuckle, and your thumb, and you just kind of hold it there, and the fat of your palm rolls over, and you just kind of hold it. It really just sits there. If you're squeezing it, that's too much. Especially on our calls, you don't want to be squeezing them. They like to be real open, and the reason I went back to that finger on the end is that is exactly the distance between finger to palm you need around that call. You don't want it closed. You don't want it wide open. You want it right there. That's how they're tuned. That's how they're going to operate the best. I tune every single call that comes out of this shop. They're all tuned like this. So if your hands are off of this, you may have some trouble, but you may be able to find it. But this is the absolute best way to hold this call. Like I said, loose grip. So now you got your call hand. Your index actually, as a quick note, will wrap right here, and then everybody else follows suit. My palm, you have a crack in the palm of the butt of the palm right here, and you have the two butts here. We're going to call this the first butt and the second butt. The first butt of your free hand slides into the crack. Okay? Index goes over pinky, everything else follows suit. So when I talk about manipulating the air, you can do it like this, you can do it like this, this, and this. All you're going to do right now is hold it straight out. That's all we're going to do. So that's the proper hand positioning. Now we're going to talk about air introduction, and this will be the last part of our episode. So when I'm putting the air in, I'm squeezing from the diaphragm, pushing with the throat. Your control comes from up here and out. This is a tank. These are the valves. And you're basically opening and closing the valves. It's been referred to as the whistle method. And it really takes, if you can whistle, you can blow a speck call. It takes the same muscle memory to blow that call as it does to whistle. You're just putting a little bit more air into the call. So if you can blow a duck call, you can blow a speck call. A lot of people like to separate them. They're really more similar than they seem. So I'm going to squeeze with my diaphragm, push with my throat. Almost like when you're getting punched in the stomach is one term that we like to use. You can hear it audibly, but when I'm going into that call, I'm keeping the air clean. But if I really exaggerate it, that's the kind of air you want. You can control it. Instead of blowing with your cheeks, or you have no control but your tongue, we want the most control. You want throat and tongue controlling the air going into the call. So, as I was saying, get my hands right. I want to find the break. The break is what we call the operating area of the call. So, you don't necessarily operate below it. Certain times you do, but not in general. I want to get above that break. So I need to find that air pressure that it takes to break that call over. You get your hands right and you push straight, clean air, starting at the lowest point, just and increase it until you feel that pop. There it was. And you can hear it break back whenever the air dropped below. Kind of seagull-y. Whenever you find that air, that break, that is where you're going to start making notes. So the first part of a note, we're going to start with the 2 note. The first part of that note is what we call the bump, which is the bump with your throat. So you're squeezing with your diaphragm to push that air up, and then you bump. That's all it is. You're not stopping the air, you're just letting the air fall off. That's the first part of the 2 note, the bump. So whenever I say 2 note, it's 1 bump. That bump being followed by a stop is what is going to shape that 2 note. So it sounds like this. Now, get into the stop. The stop is your tongue. Your tongue is controlling that air on the stop. Like you're getting something out of your teeth, something stuck in your teeth, that's the stop. So you take the stop with the bump, put them together, start real slow, 1 by 1. You don't have to get into the 2 note and glue it all together at once. Start slow, let it come together as it does. Don't try to speed into it. There's nothing wrong with spending hours or weeks practicing that clean look. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's what's going to make you a better caller, is taking your time and practicing it. And if you get into some trouble, go back to the basics. But as you speed it up, it becomes a 2 note. Slow it down, it's a bump and a stop. That's all it is. So now that you know the correct hand position, how to put air into the call, and the 2 note, which the 2 note will be the basis of everything that we're going to learn here today, I want you to go and practice. Take a week to practice this. Don't try to rush into the next episode and get into the next thing we're going to cover. Practice the 2 note. Practice the hand position. Pick the call up, hit a bump and a stop, put the call back down. Pick it up, bump and a stop. Put it down, hands off the call, pick it up. Put it down, hands off the call. Do that 15, 20 times a day. And I guarantee you, by the end of the week of doing that 15 to 20 times a day, your muscle memory will adapt to that correct hand position. Just make sure every time you pick it up, you get your hands right, hit a bump and stop, and put it down. It's muscle memory. You really can't avoid learning it if you do it right and repeat it. So, with that being said, that ends today's episode. Next week, we'll talk about 3 notes, go into a little more in depth, try to keep them a little bit shorter from here on out. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Keep up with all things Vendetta Waterfowl, and also our episodes as they come out. Like I said, I'm not going to try to overload you guys. We're just going to keep it coming, keep you learning, and we'll learn together. So, as always, get mean and get even.
It's once a year, every day through the